Emergency, paging Dr. B.
Doctor, give me the news.
Welcome to A Third Opinion with Paul Rodgers and Bob Weldon. Here's the truth about the latest wellness findings in medical news, options and protocols you might not know about. These guys lay it out for you. Straightforward information, important to you. And you can always be a part of the show. Call now, 407-774-8255. 407-774-TALK. It's time to get A Third Opinion on News Talk 660 WORL. Here's Paul and Bob.
Good morning. It's a beautiful day in Orlando, Florida. This is 660 WORL. This is A Third Opinion. I'm Paul Rodgers. My co-host is Bob Weldon, and we welcome you to the program this morning. This is the open radio forum that benefits everyone who's searching for information about other treatment options that may be available to us as we fight against the diseases and maladies that affect us all. On our program, and maybe for the first time, medical practitioners, patients, and prospective patients can join the conversation, and many of our listeners will discover that traditional medicine is not the only available option. We invite your phone calls, we value your questions and your observations, and we welcome you to the program. Bob, welcome too.
Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Orlando. Going to get cold tonight.
We hear that. I said that I saw a freeze warning for us. That's a little.
That's kind of weird, isn't it?
That's a little different.
Beautiful days and cold. Must be a desert or something.
No, it's fine. It's lovely. I love it. Our telephone number is 407-774-8255. Dr. Zelner is going to be our guest today. Is that correct, Bob?
That is correct. She's going to be calling in. She's out of town, but she's going to be on the program for the entire 2 hours. And our subject today is going to be about weight loss.
This will be very, very interesting because Dr. Zelner and, of course, the Zelner Institute and you, Bob, have a much different take on this than we hear on so many of the programs. Obesity and the confusing multi-billion-dollar weight loss market is a very interesting topic, and why so much of it is baloney and doesn't work. And we constantly are in this problem. To me, the heart of the matter is, and it doesn't come from anything I've ever said, the National Institute of Health has said repeatedly that if we could get 50% of the obesity in this country under control, then the incidence of cancer would drop like a rock. So it's an important topic, especially for anybody that cares about their health, which should be everybody, but which by behavior may indicate that a lot of people don't care about their health, and that's not so. Down in their hearts, they do. So we're going to have this conversation today about obesity, and it gets talked about a lot, but not the way we're going to talk about it today.
Well, hopefully we'll be a little bit different and get down to the root causes of obesity. You mentioned an interesting point. I know people hear these stats all the time. We know that adolescent obesity is on the rise. We know that it is a multi-billion-dollar industry in this country with weight loss programs, and we can go down the entire list. We won't name them all, but everybody sees them on TV. They're almost as prevalent as pharmaceutical commercials nowadays because of the problem. 60%, it's estimated that 60% of Americans are in the obese category. And, okay, that doesn't look good. It's not good for your health, and that's the main reason a physician like Dr. Zelner and so many others have searched and looked and researched why this is the case. Now, you and I can, of course, we were talking before the show, of course, it's a lifestyle. Many times it's a lifestyle. People don't want to hear that. They want to blame it on genetics. They want to blame it on some other things, and that is a small portion of the population. But really, in this country, let's just be realistic about what's going on. It's often been said we're the most overfed, undernourished people on the planet. Now,
that's an interesting statement. By the way, I have a little housekeeping to do here, Bob, and I don't want to interrupt.
Go ahead and do that.
Statements made on our program have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. We want to make that clear. Say that again.
We're the most overfed, undernourished,
and yet undernourished
right.
population on the planet.
That's correct. And so
too much processed sugar and flour.
We're going to talk about
processed
sugar
everything.
and of course with obesity, the rise of diabetes is just
preservatives in the food we eat.
Insane.
Animals that are injected with antibiotics and steroids, and then they're taken to that's outlawed in many countries, including Ireland. The finest steak I ever had in a restaurant in my life with apologies to several wonderful steak restaurants in Orlando and all over the country, which I have also enjoyed from time to time. The finest steak I ever had in my life was 25 years ago in Dublin, Ireland. And I made mention of that fact to the person that was waiting on our table. And she said to me, in that lovely Irish brogue, she said to me, well, you know, in Ireland, we don't allow any animals that are headed for the table to have any steroids or any antibiotics unless it's necessary to preserve their health, and then they can't be used until 6 months after that treatment.
So it's out of the system, right?
And it's so, but yet, here in the U.S., it's a routine. Chickens, cattle, hogs, the whole thing. They're getting steroids, they're getting antibiotics, and then whoosh, they come to market, and guess who ends up eating that stuff?
That's correct.
That's
correct. So, I mean, the food source, and of course, I know we're going to do a show or two in the future on our food sources and some of the issues and things that people need to look at, like for GMOs and the antibiotics and all the things that we have to deal with in our modern society that have been incorporated in our diets. But we're going to bring Dr. Zelner on here, and Dr. Zelner's on the phone with us this morning. And we want to just we're going to just take this by segments and kind of go through, particularly from her clinical experience and what we do at the Zelner Institute for weight loss, the choice that Dr. Zelner has made to help people who are already in the obese mode, and how we've had a program that we feel is very successful. And sometimes it's very controversial, this program. Many people are going to be familiar with some portions of it. But we want to get into that and talk a little bit about why this is so effective and kind of get down to the root cause of obesity in many people and how we can get the body back into the balance it needs to be back into to maintain the proper weight that we're designed to carry for our own health.
And as prelude to that discussion, I want to establish the fact that Bob Weldon, my partner, my broadcast buddy and friend, is a certified nutritional consultant, and Bob is the director of wellness and nutrition at the Zelner Institute. And Dr. Catherine Zelner, who is one of our regular medical panelists and is a sensational lady and a great, great doctor, is also an OB-GYN, a graduate of the Ohio State University Medical School, so she's a doctor.
She's the real deal.
She's the certified
and
absolute
she's
real deal.
So she's
and
done.
She has taken the time in the middle of a very successful career, right in the middle of it, to step aside for a moment in her mind and say, you know, things should be better. I should be doing a better job for my patients. And so she got thoroughly educated in nutrition and all of that, and now has integrated that into her practice, which makes her, in my mind, the complete package as a doctor that somebody ought to go see. So, Dr. Zelner?
Well, good morning.
Hello there.
Glad to hear your voices.
Good morning, Doctor. How's the weather over there? How's the weather on the West Coast today?
It's sunny. It's nice.
Good.
It's very nice, yes.
Keep your jacket handy. It's going to get cold tonight.
West Coast?
That's all here.
As in California?
Not that far.
No.
No. West Coast is Florida.
Yes,
West
I know. I knew that.
It would be. We didn't travel that long last night, but I'm really glad to be here and share the secrets of weight loss with our listeners and really talk about the things that you've been talking about, Bob, as far as all the malnourished Americans that we have walking around, fat malnourished Americans.
Yes, we're overfed and undernourished. Bob made that statement, and I thought it was very, very, very precise.
I was just parroting someone else's quote, and I don't remember where I got that from, so I don't want to take I don't want to.
Oh, go ahead.
I don't want to plagiarize anybody else, but whoever said that, it was a great statement.
Yes.
Okay, but the fact is that we are malnourished, and we're getting sicker because of, again, the problems with the food sources. And I hope we get to touch on this in future shows too. But unless we detox, we are going to die. And I think Dr. Sherry Rodgers wrote a good book about that, Detox or Die. And this is, I think, one of the beauties of what we are doing with our weight loss is that we are focusing on some of the root causes of the obesity, and that's why we're getting such good successes. And even though the one that we have had particular success with is, I'm saying 60, 70 years old, it is using, again, the secrets of, again, mastering hormone control with a detoxified elimination diet and helping people to detoxify as they lose weight. And that's the only way we can do it. And then that's why we're getting good results. So I think that's what we really want to talk to our listeners about is the secrets of weight loss, why this works so well, and let them understand what these metabolic secrets are. Because, again, this is what anti-aging medicine is really focusing on now, is how to help people use their own chemistry, their own hormones, their own innate metabolism to heal and to, of course, what will happen is heal that metabolism and the weight comes off.
Dr. Zelner, I just want to interrupt you because I know we're on phone. You don't have the clock in front of you. We have a minute left or so in this segment, and I know you're going to be with us the entire program. So I want to invite our listening audience, if you have any questions, this is a great time to connect with Dr. Zelner, ask questions about our program, ask questions about weight loss in general. She's an expert, and so this is a good time for you to call in. And, Paul, what's that number for our listening audience?
407-774-8255. 407-774-TALK, if you like to do your telephone that way. 407-774-8255. We're talking with Dr. Catherine Zelner. Bob Weldon is my broadcast co-host. I'm Paul Rodgers. And the subject today is weight loss. We're going to go at this in an interesting way, I think. To our listeners, it would be great if you would call us and ask us questions that begin with the word why. Because Dr. Zelner really has a lot of wonderful information. And that would really prompt, I think, a lively comment and then further discussion. So today's topic, as we said, weight loss, and we will be back in a few minutes. A few minutes? I think we have a 2-minute break.
2 minutes.
Yeah, it's a 2-minute break.
And we'll be back
up.
with Dr. Zelner.
We will. Dr. Zelner will be back. Bob Weldon will be back, and I'll be back also. Don't go away. And we're back with a third opinion. Welcome back. Our listeners ask us often exactly who is offering the third opinion that we have titled our show after. We think it's either the members of the panel of medical experts or it's you, our listeners. And today, our guest is Dr. Catherine Zelner. She's a regular member of our panel. We're grateful for that. And Bob, we're going to talk about weight loss in today's program.
Yes, we are.
And the interesting and unique ways that you attack this at the Zelner Institute of Integrative Medicine.
Yes, and I think that's a good way to start is to just let's look at from the clinical standpoint. As a practicing physician, Dr. Zelner no longer practices OB, but she's a GYN. We do mainly women's health, but we see men, we see family members all the time. And this is a common thing that we run across, of course. When Dr. Zelner opened up mentioning detox, obviously we like to start that with a lot of our patients. In our last week's show, which you could probably find on our website maybe this week at www.ZIIM.us, and you'll find our past shows of the Third Opinion here archived there. You could listen to the program. But detoxification is very important. But Dr. Zelner, let's bring you back into the discussion. You're talking about from a clinician standpoint, when you're looking at your patients and their BMI or they're in the obese mode. Of course, what are your concerns and what do you look at, and why did you decide to really, about almost 3 years ago, go back and kind of get certified in this program that we're currently using?
Well, we had to find an effective method to help people lose weight. And one of the situations is obesity is, again, causing early death. I mean, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, arthritis, digestive issues. I mean, it's really decreasing the quality of people's lives and decreasing the lifespan. So for us to even treat, as a doctor, to even treat cardiovascular disease, to help people with their diabetes, what's the first thing we tell patients to do? Lose weight. And if we don't have an effective method to help them lose weight, then what am I doing for them? I mean, this is a serious medical condition and should be treated. And just to put a little pet peeve in, the insurances don't pay me for helping people lose weight. If you can believe that.
Yes, we believe
it. But here it is, yeah. So that's just a little pet peeve to throw in there. But here we have a condition, and that's a very serious condition, and it's affecting the nation, and it's affecting our healthcare dollars that are being spent year after year after year with no successes. So in trying to find, and research what has been done, how people are losing weight and how are they keeping it off. And when we look at this diet that's been in existence for, a good half century, and it did work. And, of course, it was originated during a time when we didn't have so much toxins in our environment and so much pesticides and, again, what we've been talking about as far as causing a lot of the obesity epidemic in the United States. So, we've taken that diet, we've modified it. We've added some of, again, our own research, current research in anti-aging and metabolic disorders. And with that, I think we've come up with a very effective way to lose weight that works, and it keeps the weight off as well. And I mean, that's the real purpose in helping people. It's just we can get people to lose weight. Bob, you know that. We've gotten a lot of people, and people lose weight. But the real secret is teaching them how to keep it off.
That's such a great point because, as you know, Dr. Zelner, there are so many programs out there, and I know a lot of the patients that come through the practice, I would assume that every one of them that needs to lose weight has been on a program or two and then gained the weight back. Mm-hmm. And so it is somewhat easy, really, if people are willing to modify their lifestyle, exercise and diet, of course, and calories in and calories out. It's pretty much any program that makes a little bit of sense. Well, they'll lose the weight. The problem is most women come back through particularly and say, well, I lost 20 pounds, but I gained it back almost immediately after I came off the program. So you kind of led into that. What's the reason for that?
Well, we go back to our original lifestyles, and we have to understand what's making us sick. You have to understand, what you're buying in the grocery store, even what you're doing in your own household, how you're, again, raising your family. We have to change some of the core knowledge base of our nutrition and what's healthy for our families, what's healthy for us. So, I mean, we have to kind of, again, go back and almost re-educate our patients. And it also, what happens is when that person loses the weight and then she becomes a healthier person, she's also helping her husband, her family, her family members. So we know what we're doing is having what am I trying to say?
Well, it's having an effect on their sphere of influence, their family members, of course. And you're not just touching one person's health; you're touching many people's health. When the homemaker, generally who's in charge of the diet of the home, is one who's focused on that and watching not only their mates but also their children, as I know you do in your home.
And the children. Look at the number of children that you see. You go to the store and you just watch the kids, and these are really heavy children. They have 40, 50 extra pounds that they're carrying around, and it can't be healthy for them. And even the incidence of diabetes in children has increased. This has become, again, a national concern. I think the preventive health, those task force have alerted the medical community to that they're focusing on this now. So it really has brought it up to a national attention.
I want to go into my whine mode. WHINE. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Dr. Zelner, but my kids, they really like chips.
Chips.
Yeah, it keeps them quiet, and I don't have to worry about them. I give them a bag of chips.
Okay.
That's a pretty good imitation of a whining kid there.
Well,
Paul.
I mean, come on.
Well,
no.
You have to understand that, the way that they are making the foods, they become, very addicting. They've got chemicals in them and preservatives in them that trigger brain chemistries that make you want more and more. I mean, where did the commercial come? Like, you can own Lay's potato chips. Wasn't that it?
That's right. Bet you can't eat just one. Yeah.
Can't have just one. And that's exactly what happens. You can't, because when you eat, and there are certain foods, and we have even studied them, even some of the artificial sweeteners, that they have a chemical, they are the chemical compound of that particular food substance or preservative has a it actually triggers brain chemistry and increases certain neurotransmitters.
Oh, come on, Dr. Zelner. You don't mean you don't mean that our
make you want to eat more.
You don't mean companies would actually put something like that in our food on purpose, do you?
Maybe initially they didn't know what they were doing, but the science is out. We know what they do now. Let's put it that way. And
there you go.
Listen about artificial
It's amazing.
sweeteners. How can we just touch on artificial sweeteners for 1 minute? Artificial sweeteners.
We have 1 minute and 38 to the break.
Go ahead, Doc.
But we have a lot of time after the break.
I want to get back to listener because you have alternatives to those chips. If you go into different grocery stores that are catering more towards, let's say, organic foods, they have different kinds of chips that give you the same, crunchy, tasty foods. Like we are now buying these they're dehydrated vegetables, and they're very chip, and they have a very texture, like a crunchy texture with salt. And they're really good, and that's what we have snack foods in our house, but we've just, again, changed the orientation. We don't buy Doritos anymore. We'll buy those, a lot of those dehydrated vegetables with sea salt on them, and they really are, chippy. So those are some things you can do as we can, again, that's what we do in our office as we try to educate and give alternatives and make food lists out that can help you in the grocery store or find those brands that are catering towards this new clean diet that we're talking about.
Dr. Zelner, a whole bunch of folks just called their stockbroker and said, dump that stock. We're coming up a little lightness here, I guess, but we'll be back to the heavy soon, and I don't mean that literally. We're coming up on a break. And so there's a lot to talk about on the other side of the break. Our phone number is 407-774-8255, 407-774-8255. You're listening to A Third Opinion on 660 WORL, and we will be right back. Welcome back to A Third Opinion. Each week, our phones are open for you to talk with our medical professionals. Today, our guest is Dr. Catherine Zelner. All of our professionals understand that with all of its wonderfulness, traditional medicine doesn't always offer the only options available for the treatment of your medical problems. Today, we're talking about the problem, and it is a huge problem, of obesity and what you can do in a broad sense to get this thing under control in a way that addresses all of the factors that lead to obesity. Bob?
And before we bring Dr. Zelner back on,
Bob Weldon, by the way,
yes.
my co-host, who is also a certified nutritional consultant and really knows what he's talking about.
Well, sometimes. I get a lot of help from Dr. Zelner.
Okay, well, then you don't know what you're talking about.
But before we get into the nitty-gritty of our program, which I think people will get a grip on, I just want to give a little plug for our program. It's called Get Slim with ZIIM. That's an acronym, of course, for Zelner Institute.
Cute. I like that.
You like that, huh?
Yeah, I do.
And also our aftercare program is called Stay Slim with ZIIM. And if patients or our listeners are interested in looking at that program, we're offering a 10% off if they call in off the radio program. I mentioned that they heard it on A Third Opinion. And, of course, they can call us at 407-345-5055, and the extension is 232. We'll give you a 10% off. And we do have a free class that we do a couple of Saturdays a month, and we do it throughout the week as well. This is an intro class that we have patients and the general public, people who are interested in losing weight, come in and take a look at our program for free. It's about a 45-minute presentation, and we kind of go through the science, some of the things we're going to talk about today, so that the patient or the prospective patient gets a big picture of how this program works. And we find that when we educate people up front, those that are committed that enroll in the program have a far better outcome because they understand the ins and outs of why we're asking them to do specific things for a period of time in order to lose the weight and then lock in, which is really the key thing. And a lot of people miss this. A lot of programs miss this. Get the weight off, but then now how do you maintain that new you, that new weight loss that you've acquired, and a slimmer you, actually, and a healthier you? And that's what our program delves into.
How long have you been doing this program at the Zelner Institute?
We're almost at 3 years. But, but Dr. Zelner, you went back and actually, I think this is a little unique. because you are an integrative doctor, and maybe you might want to explain that a little bit to our listening audience. But because you are integrative, you've taken on additional education besides what you originally received in your college, and of course to get an MD and so on. You've gone back and you're continuing to do that. I'll attest to that, being where I work with you every day. You continually look at new things and new protocols in the integrative model. So maybe if you would just explain a little bit your background and how you became integrative, or just explain what integrative is, and let's move into some of the details of our program.
Right. Well, again, integrative medicine is taking research from both the traditional mainstream medical arena and also the non-traditional, more like nutrition, acupuncture, different types of modalities of therapy. So we take research from both areas, and hormone therapies, metabolic studies, and then integrate is what the word is, or just bring together the best of both worlds. And I think we're coming from a good vantage point, too, because both arenas of medicine have a lot to offer, but they don't look at the other side. And, again, in trying to find secrets of metabolism, we're trying to understand the way that the body uses energy. We're looking in all fields, even into the hardcore science fields of biochemistry, too, and not just the pharmaceutical approach. So it's been really interesting and illuminating studying these areas, because I'm finding a lot more help for the patients. And I think that's what's driving even other doctors, and I'm certainly one of very many, going into these integrative areas of medicine, because we are looking for more answers for our patients. And I think this is one area, is weight loss, and why we've been searching, and nothing in, let's say, the traditional healthcare field has really been that successful over the years, and it's not providing us, with the answers or with the help that we need. So I think that's where we got into. For myself, I've got a lot more interested in hormone therapies and how hormones regulate the metabolism, and of course the whole area of nutrition and the study of the biochemistry of the body, and how micronutrients fuel the cells, and they are the raw material that makes our body run. So it's just like putting the extra high octane gas into the engine. We want the engine to run well. We got to take care of it. We got to feed it with the best that we know of, and that's what nutritional medicine is about.
What you have just said, Dr. Zelner, leads me to this conclusion. Given the body of evidence, which is undeniable, and it's a huge body of evidence, but given the body of evidence, any medical practitioner who's not integrative is by definition incomplete.
I like that. I mean, that's the way I see that. And
I see it that I think it's clear.
But we do need to reach out and study other areas of science and open up to an investigation, so we can find, because we where we are today isn't where we want to be. True? I mean, or not true? I don't think we've at all come close to helping people with just the problem of obesity today.
Well, Dr. Zelner, we're losing the battle against obesity, and we've lost. Well, I say we've lost. We're definitely losing the battle against obesity. Why? And at least in the U.S., because it's increasing. And we're also losing the battle, and this isn't today's topic, but we're losing the battle against cancer. It's definitional. The statistics just don't lie.
And again, as a doctor, I am here to find those answers, to research with my colleagues, and to provide new therapies for our patients and things that work. In the realm of, again, weight loss, we really have a good program that, again, works on the main problems of obesity. And what we believe today is that obesity fat cells are somehow protective of the body, and they are walling off these toxins that are killing us. And so, in effect, our metabolism is being poisoned by a lot of these environmental pollutants, and the fat cells are, again, walling them off or protecting the vital organs so that we don't die earlier. And so there is a mechanism there.
Well, given the proliferation of free radicals and the stuff that is out there in our food, in the air, in the products we use, we're being bombarded with these free radicals, metal toxicity, and all of that, and that leads to obesity because the body's working hard to shield us from this stuff, and so it creates fat cells around that and throws it somewhere and gets busy doing more.
Yes, and in the hormone aspect of this that we've been talking about is that we have hormones that actually tell the cells what to do with the energy, to either burn it or put it into storage. And with all the inflammation from all these free radicals you're talking about, Paul, what's happening is that the hormones are, again, becoming ineffective in controlling that in a very efficient system.
Dr. Zelner, we have a caller. Stephanie, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And say hello to Dr. Zelner and to Bob Weldon.
Hi, Dr. Zelner. Hi, Bob. How are you?
Hi, Stephanie. Good morning. Thanks. You have a question or a comment?
Well, I just wanted to make a comment. 2 years ago after I had my son, I was a little bit older than when I had my first son, and the weight just wouldn't come off. I was exercising and I was eating good, and I got some of it off, but I just couldn't get it all off. And I went on the HCG program, and I lost 40 pounds in 40 days.
Wow.
And it was amazing. I think on top of just the weight loss, though, really just learning to eat, healthy, organic, just really changes your lifestyle. It's not just you lose the weight and you kind of move on and you start eating, you continue to eat a different way and view food a different way, and you do really get all the toxins out of your system. And I think it's an amazing program.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that. And have you been able to maintain your weight?
I have. You go through a transition phase, and you'll sometimes put on a couple pounds in that phase when you're transitioning back into kind of a normal, healthy lifestyle. But I've maintained it, and with exercise after I got off the program a few times a week, and eating healthy the way that I learned to eat on the program, I've been able to do it. So
yeah, those transitions called the holidays get in your way and sort of.
Yeah, of course you put a few on, but then again you go back to the eating healthy, and you're able to maintain it and get those extra pounds.
How's your energy? How's your energy level? Did you
amazing? I slept really well on it. I thought that was kind of an interesting. I didn't expect that. I slept very well.
Yes, and, it's the hormone changes in your body, and it kind of reboots the hypothalamus. We haven't gotten into really how it works, but it really does work on the level of the brain, and it changes some things, and hopefully permanent. If you continue the diet, you can maintain those changes. But it really does help with sleep, and it helps with your energy level. In fact, some people even feel a little euphoric during the diet. I don't know. What was your experience?
It kind of, women can relate to this. When you're pregnant, sometimes you get that euphoric burst of energy kind of feeling.
Right.
And I did have that. It was kind of in the middle. It wasn't right away after I was on a very low-calorie diet, but it was
Ladies, we're coming up on a hard break here. I really appreciate you calling, Stephanie.
Do you have a follow-up comment or question, Stephanie? If you do, you can hold on over the break.
Yeah, if you want to, can you hang on for a second?
Sure,
we'll continue this on the other side of the break. We only have about 20 seconds. And when we come back, after we finish discussing this with Stephanie, who's had a great experience with this program, we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of that. You mentioned HCG. Many people have heard before. We're going to really get into that and how this program affects hormones like the HCG, leptin, and adiponectin. And we'll talk about that with Dr. Zelner when we come back from the break. We'll get into the details of our program in about 2 minutes.
Well, welcome back to A Third Opinion, where you will hear a third opinion about a lot of things medical. And we're pleased to have as our medical practitioner panelist and guest today, Dr. Catherine Zelner, and also my broadcast partner, Bob Weldon, who's a certified nutritional consultant and who is in charge of the wellness and nutrition at the Zelner Institute of Integrative Medicine. If you'd like to speak with Dr. Zelner, you can call us at 407-774-8255, 774-8255. Bob, we still have a guest on the line,
Yes,
and we have Dr.
do.
Zellner with us as
Stephanie,
well.
you still there?
Yes, I am.
Good. Go ahead. So we were in the middle of a discussion there, and I know I had to interrupt you there, but go ahead with your comment.
No, I think I just, you hear all these, different weight loss programs out there, and it's hard to believe after you try different things that anything really does work. But I guess it's just, through my experience in keeping it off for 2 years, it really is just such a lifestyle change. So I just would recommend it to anybody that's, really serious about wanting to get the weight off.
I think one of the pluses on this diet is that you do get the weight off fairly quickly, too. And, for women, it's such an ego booster. I mean, it really feels good because we've been through so many diets where it takes, 6 months, a pound a week, and you have to stay so diligently, hooked to that regimen for so long. It becomes almost really difficult because it's just too long of a period to lose the amount of weight. With the HCG, though, we're able to take off, a good 25, and you have remarkable results of 40 pounds. And you can do that in a month and a half. And then I think it's easier, too, because you really have this, you're you're doing so well, and it's self-perpetuating, and
Small
you feel
point.
good about it. And you're really that's what's important about weight loss too, is having a really up attitude, feeling really good about your weight loss, making those changes in your life, and seeing results.
Dr. Zellner, and a small point here, but I think it might be germane. I think and I'm a listener, you're the expert, and in this case, I'm sort of a listener to this, and it's very interesting and very informative. If I might make a suggestion, I think that what you're really talking about here is a program as opposed to a diet.
Yes.
Everybody says, I'm on a diet, and somebody pointed out that the first 3 letters in the word diet are die. and most diets do end up dying because they don't work. And so the way I'm listening to this, and I'm fascinated, because you are talking about an all-encompassing program that includes, but isn't limited to, things that you eat. That's what's different about what you're doing.
Stephanie, what changes did you make in your diet? I mean, what from before and after? What would you say the main things were?
Right. I do agree. It's just a change in how you view food. I mean, I've always been somewhat of a healthy eater, but really understanding the importance of going organic, I think that was a big change for me. And I think my taste buds changed too. Like, I get so much joy out of fruit and vegetables. It sounds a little crazy, but after you go on this diet, it's just, that's what I want to eat. I really, truly don't want to eat anything fried or, I don't know. I don't crave those things. I don't want those things. It really changes, I think, what you like, at least for me.
And
it's not like, you're not really restricting your diet in some ways. I mean, you're not eating small amounts. It's not like starving yourself at all. I mean, I tell my staff, I'm probably one of the biggest eaters in my office. I have piles of fruits and vegetables on my plate, and I eat until, I enjoy eating so much.
Dr. Zellner, I'm going to assume that the fruits and vegetables that you have in your office have not been sprayed with bug killers and all the stuff that they put on this stuff that we end up eating, and it's part of the reason why we are where we are.
Well, we do our best, and we wash things well, and we peel them, and there's things that we can learn, and this is what we really try to convey to our patients and our staff is just how do you do these things and how do you make those changes, and it's just a state of mind. It's just changing the way we do things.
Let's get into what we've talked about HCG. Let's get into that. And Stephanie, thank you so much for your comments and calling in and participating in the show. We really appreciate that, and keep up the good work.
We appreciate it, Stephanie, and tell everybody about our program.
I will, and thank you guys for doing the program.
Glad to hear about your success.
Yep,
all
great.
Right, have a good day.
Bye-bye,
you
Stephanie.
Too, bye.
So, Dr. Zelner, we talked about HCG, and, of course, we're going to spend the next hour really talking about our program, but we want to point out to our listening audience that our program is just not about one facet. We use HCG, and we're going to talk about what that is. Of course, it's been through the news. There's lots of radio programs talking about HCG.
HCG, is that FDA approved?
It's FDA. We're going to talk about that. What's FDA approved for?
Not FDA approved.
Not for weight loss, but we're going to we'll make that we'll make that distinction as we go through the program and how the FDA views that and how they control that. But we want to talk about the program that you've developed in the practice because we do have extremely good success with our patients. Now, Stephanie was an exception to the rule. I want to point that out to our listening audience. Our average weight loss for our patients on our program is between a half a pound and a pound a day. And usually it's men, I think Dr. Zelner will agree, that are able to lose.
That's because we're fatter.
Well, it's easier for us to lose the weight than women. And I always tell the patients, the women patients, don't hate us. That's just how we're made. But that is sort of the realistic, I think, we need to put out there to the public because there is a lot of hype, I think everybody will agree, with weight loss programs about the amount of weight that you can lose.
Yeah, but Bob, let's not get caught up too much on the pounds because of inches. You're not even quantifying the inches, and that's where our patients really have. I think they see more of a dramatic change in their chest size, waistline, hips, thighs. Even underarms, where the best part about HCG is it helps you lose fat in those really difficult sites and spots where even when you go on a low-calorie diet, you can't lose that fat in those areas. And I've seen it over and over and over again in our patients,
right.
Personally speaking, too. So we even have some people who are like models, and they are rather trim but want to lose fat in a particular area. They can't do it any other way without surgery.
Right.
We are able to do it with HCG, though.
And we don't use any. We might want to point out to at this point we don't use any appetite suppressants in our program. And in the next after the next break, we're going to go into the details.
It is a program,
right? It's a program. And that Dr. Zelner has painstakingly developed.
Non-chemically induced.
That's right. And we'll talk about
that is so important.
When we come back, because I don't really want to get into it on this side of the break because we'll have to interrupt it. But if you could just briefly, Doc, tell the audience what HCG, it does a lot of things, but what does it stand for, first of all, and what is it FDA approved for?
Okay, well, I've been using HCG through my whole professional career, so I'm very comfortable with the hormone. It's human chorionic gonadotropin, and we use it for fertility because it stimulates, again, from the brain. It stimulates the ovaries to work. For males, it stimulates the testicles to work. So it increases hormones in the body.
For fertility, right? And that's what it's FDA approved for, right? That's what it's FDA approved for.
Correct.
So when we use HCG...
So is this an off-label use that we're talking about here?
Yes, but you have to understand physicians use medications off-label every day. Okay, I use off-label, hypertensive medicines. I'm always using off-labels. Okay, but with an MD, with a medical education.
Oh, it's not illegal. It's not illegal.
It's not illegal. I use my research and my understanding of the drug to use it in the best ways. It just means that the FDA has not done the extended research studies to show that it's effective in a certain number of people without doing harm in a certain number of people for this particular reason. But that's another topic. The other topic, yes, but the HCG itself, if it is used in just a regular diet, it's not going to work for weight loss. If you're going to have not change your diet and use HCG, you're more likely to gain weight.
Right.
And that was not considered, I think, in the initial, approval of the drug. So it's not an appetite suppressant. So it is used as an adjuvant to the whole program.
Right. And so Doc, the point we want to make to the listening audience, too, although it's not FDA approved, it is for weight loss.
That is for weight loss,
right. It is used off-label for weight loss by many physicians. And I want to point this out. This is an FDA-controlled substance. So you cannot buy this at a health food store, from a chiropractor, from anyone who does not have the ability to write prescriptions.
Well, you don't want to because you're not going to get a good quality product anyway. So that's protected.
So all
we don't want to be able to buy it except from a accredited farm.
So all HCG is not the same. Is that the conclusion here as well?
Correct. That's correct.
You can have HCG and you can have HCG, but it's not all the same. Interesting.
Yeah, you want the real thing.
You
want
bet.
The good stuff.
Well,
You
we
want
got the real
something
thing. We
that's
have you.
pure and-
We have the real thing. We have you on the program today, Dr. Zelner. We're coming up on a break, and we'll be with a lot more on the other side of the news. I promise you. The program's getting hot now, Bob. I'm loving
That's
this.
it.
And we're learning. I'm learning, and I hope our listeners are learning as well. If you want to call us after the break, 407-774-8255. We have some lines open, and we will be back.